Welcome,
Hey.
welcome, everybody here. Welcome to the Leadership Roundtable series. I'm Natan Verhovsky. I will be your host. I am here representing Tim Melone, who will be your co-host. And if you don't know Tim by background, he's got about 25 years experience in human resource management, leadership, public, municipal, education, not-for-profit sections. He's also a seasoned executive coach committed to enhancing leadership effectiveness, certified executive coach, holds qualifications from international coach federations, IPEC, master's in counseling from Regent, bachelor's in business management and speech communication over from Herium College. So he's here as a person that can absolutely listen and hear in a very, very unique way compared to most and such. And so in that context, I'll let Tim add some more meat to the bones. Tim, if you want to start us off, introduce yourself. Tell us why you're
Yeah,
here.
well, Natan, that was awfully kind. You made me younger today, with 25 years of experience. I appreciate that. It's a little bit more. I can tell it with I had a haircut yesterday, so I haven't cut all the gray out. Um, and as Natan said, I am currently an executive coach, working with Your Life's Direction out of the Chesapeake, Virginia area. I also do some leadership development as well. So if you know of somebody who needs, some high performance shot in the arm for their teams, I can work with teams to make them high performance and get them brand connected and vision connected. But I love what I do, and I'm thrilled to be here this evening. And it's good to be with the five of you tonight. Look forward to our conversation.
Beautiful. So let's get you to start the party rolling, Tim.
Yeah.
Let's
So,
share one
yeah,
insight.
yeah. So you want me to start? So I'm going to share an insight, or I'm going to share even a strategy that really has helped me in my career and in my business. And when somebody asks you that question, my goodness, you could probably talk for a long time about that. But I think that I would say that I learned early on to be above the line. And what I mean by being above the line is where there is lots of emotional intelligence, where you are aware of your limiting beliefs, you're aware of your leadership consciousness, you're aware of your limiting beliefs, you're aware of your empowering beliefs, and you embrace a growth mindset. And so what that means really in layman's terms is I learned how to work with people. I learned how to collaborate. I learned how to recognize my own shortcomings and the strengths of the people that I was working with. And I think I learned, how do you learn humility? I think I learned about humility. I think I learned about what it means to be inclusive and not worrying about having all the answers, but knowing the lane that you swim in and doing it well, knowing what event you can gold medal in and knowing which one is not your strength.
Mm,
And then you rely on the rest of the team members. And I think that's the insight that I learned early in my career that really helped me to be successful.
that's very cool. All
Yeah.
right. Pick the next victim. I mean, volunteer.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear, Scott, I would love to hear what you say about that cicada man.
With the cicadas, well, yeah, it's an opportunity for me, that's for sure, because if they're predicting 1 trillion, like I say, they're going to be a great food source. So for my business, that's why I'm looking now to get my the US made product on the market, and um, I'm just in a bit of a stuck position at the moment because of
Sure.
a hard run that I had. It all started to unfold since COVID. I was there was an issue that I had to overcome that cost me about 350K, and then I had a, a good friend that was supposed to be a whiz in business and leadership and management and all that, who wanted to help me with my Australian business after the loss of my dad, and he unfortunately embezzled me. So I had to encounter that, and just some other issues. My factory has been trying to get my patents because they know that I turned down a very big offer, and I'm never going to give those up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've had to soldier on to get to this point, and hopefully it will turn around very shortly.
Well, good to have you. That sounds like a tough place, and you probably have learned something about perseverance and how to hang in there and build your resilience. We'll have to hear more about that. John, how would you answer that question? What strategy, what insight has really propelled your career?
Meet people where they are. So I think the tone of my relationships throughout the years has been one of diversity. Older generations, younger generations, native New Englanders here in Massachusetts, people who are from literally the other side of the planet. I could go on and on and on. And just, making sure that when you're thinking about teams and you're thinking about, the building and sustaining of those teams, that we're talking about people, right? We're talking about humans, and making sure that you lean into where people are at, and you're also transparent about where you're at. So for me, I have been in software sales for a good long time, but I've encountered some challenges around the broader challenges of the tech space right now. So I'm still working on my next software sales engagement, but also branching out into some coaching and consulting in other areas, trying to kind of take a little bit of my own medicine. And so that's really what I would say. Meet people where they are, and then you can figure out where you're all going to go together after that.
That's great. That's very great. And they are all in different places, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, it's really challenging. Dave.
Hey, well, nice to meet everyone tonight. And so it's just interesting. So I'm hosting a leadership summit in about 10 days from now. And one of the conversation pieces is also about, I'm going to spend some time for us to not only dream forward, but also talk about legacy. And so I've done some reflecting over that. And so back to the question of maybe like that moment that really started to propel your career forward a little bit, which really was more personal and learning about yourself. I remember how pissed I was on this day. Back in the day, and by the way, just for disclosure, I've been fortunate enough to benefit from Tim's coaching over the years and guidance. So I can only validate the impact it can have in helping me find some personal unlocks. But I go back in time to a moment that really was my first eye opener. And so I work for QVC, HSN, CBI, the television shopping networks. I lead customer experience, dropship operations, and have really played in a couple different spaces. Well, this was back in the late 90s. And frankly, this is when you would announce to the world that you were going to provide someone feedback. And it was wrapped in lots of cutesy that would say, I have a gift for you. And so then they would say whether or not you're ready to receive or not receive the gift. And Tim probably facilitated at some point, but it was a little hokey, but the intention was really pure. So sure enough, one of the people I worked with came forward to me and had an honest moment, said, I'd like to give you some feedback. And I said, you know what, I had a really bad day. I don't want any gifts today. Well, she perhaps had a little bit of courage in her too. So she just kept going. And she said, I just want to understand why you're different. I'm like, what do you mean? Why am I different? She said, when you're in your leadership meetings, that's not the person that I see for the rest of the day. And it's weird. Like it doesn't resonate. And she was saying I wasn't being genuine or authentic at the time. That's really what she was saying. So I had about an hour and a half drive home from where we worked. And I swear to God, I just cursed her the whole way home. I was so mad at the feedback. I wasn't ready to hear it, wasn't ready to listen to it. And then I did. I'm a Myers-Briggs INTJ, so I'm very reflective. So I'm sure I didn't sleep that night. I tossed and turned and thought about it. And she was 100% right. she shared with me that in fact, and I knew it at the time, I was trying to project to the world this image of myself that I thought the corporate environment wanted, that they wanted, I was mirroring leaders that I thought were respected and actually, and so I was probably insulating and burying who I am as a person. And then at that point, that feedback made me start to unveil a little bit more and more each time of my true self, and being very comfortable with being quirky, being very comfortable with enjoying humor, being very comfortable with all these things. And as I did that, and as I grew more comfortable in it, I found that I started to become more and more successful with teams and organizations and results. And so I credit as this thought of legacy as a moment. There's many moments since then, but that was a moment that I could have very easily have just stayed the same and not changed. So just a little bit, only because it's so fresh and I was just reflecting on it. So appreciate the opportunity to share.
Those are very, very cool words.
Yeah.
Authenticity and sincerity and kind of being comfortable in your own skin. Love that. Dave, do you want to hear from Natan or Rico next?
Let's go to Natan.
Well, for me, as the host, my life's easy. I've been an elite energy coach for about the last 30 years. I started at Cirque du Soleil, worked with Olympians, national sports teams, only elite peak performers. I've had about 15,000 people come through my hands as a coach. And I never would have come online, but then COVID. And so I tried my hand at coaching online instead of coaching in real life, which I did for decades. And what a treat. That was not good at all. I felt stupid. I couldn't get technology or marketing or sales to work. I felt like all the education, experience, expertise I had was pointless. And, every new marketing thing that came along, I would fall for that. And it's the only reason last week's didn't work is because you didn't buy this week's marketing idea. And then it was always like another fake guru, and it was on and on and on. And so it was very, very tricky to figure out what's real and what isn't. And I realized I don't have to. I just put my hand up and said, hey, is there anyone else that doesn't want to be a used car salesman and just sell some crap? Is there anyone else that wants to actually help and heal and do some good out here? And those are the first people that came. I founded the Essential Academy as a not-for-profit, private, invitation-only educational community. So for us, we handpick the people that we work with. We look for those that have meaning and message. They're trying to do some good in the world. And that for whatever reason, marketing, sales, tech, something's kicking their butt a little bit. They're not making the amount of money that they should. And it's funny because one of my instructors came to me and they're like, Natan, I feel weird if I made more than $17,000 in a month. And I'm like, why? They're like, because I don't need more. I'm like, but you don't know anyone who does? You don't know anything that could benefit from, like, really? I said, the universe has chosen not to put $150 million in your bank account for a reason. It's called cash flow, and you have nowhere for it to go. So where I came from, we gifted about $630,000 in scholarships, being a not-for-profit, and I don't get to keep any of the money. So every month I'm reinvesting in systems and teams and just trying to optimize what we can do for our people, because we know that they're so amazing and their message is so important. And the work they do is so needed to get just a bigger audience. So if I was to say insight on my side, one of my coaching clients from a few of the many, they were somebody that wanted to understand why all of their friends felt very abundant and they didn't. And they had more stuff than their friends. And they just couldn't wrap their head around it. And I was like, it's a simple equation. I said, abundance equals gratitude. When's the last time you woke up and literally just, I woke up, holy shit. I'm not 100%, like nobody, the big guy upstairs didn't give me a note guaranteeing me to do that tomorrow or today. And I open my eyes and I can see, yes, like it goes down a checklist that may take a minute, but that's kind of the point. By the time you start counting off all that gratitude, and you look over at the beautiful partner that you have, and you look out into the garage at the car you drive, and, well, holy crap, it's not just count your blessings, literally and figuratively. It's the ability to go, my God, how can you not be abundant after I just counted off 30, 40 things that I have? And for him, he felt wanting to go down that further. He's like, all right, he goes, so then explain to me why I've got everything, I like mid-20s, six-pack abs, climbed Everest, multimillionaire, got multiple fast, expensive Lamborghini, Ferrari type cars, got a plane, a train, an automobile, all the crap, 24-year-old lingerie model. He can see his abs, all of that. He's got 3 kids that adore him, and he can't figure out why he's not happy. And he's like, Natan, I don't understand, man. I literally wrote a checklist. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, that's why you're not happy. Well, do you read that? He goes, every morning I wake up and I read the checklist. You have this. I'm like, how's that been working out for you? He's like, I feel more like I just don't understand what to add to it to finally feel happy. I'm like, okay. I'm like, equation time. Happy. Happiness equals progress. So when's the last time you challenged yourself? When's the last time you bit off more than you could chew and then found a way to chew it? When's the last time you hit that obstacle and really went beyond what you thought you could do? Because that's happiness. And so once he got a couple of those insights into him and stuff, it became a lot easier to materialize into what they do. And for those of us that are coaches, we forget sometimes that I'm like, we don't need to be bigger, better, make more money, than the person that we work with. We just need to know the one thing that they don't. And if we can help them with that, that's it. That's our jobs.
That's really great, Natan. Thank you. Rico, you want to bring us home here?
Yes. Well, I've had the advantage of getting to listen to all you guys, and I agree with almost everything you guys said, but I've got a few things I'd like to say. But first of all, I think that we should nominate Tim for president. Sounds like he has all the quality that we need in a president. What do you think? You ready to run, Tim?
I'm in.
Wow.
I don't think it's legally binding on my side of the border, but I'm in.
Yeah, your vote doesn't count.
Damn it. Thank you,
Anyway,
Rico.
Anyway,
Give us a background, Rico. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. In a couple of weeks, I'll be introducing you at your event. Rico's a member with us over at the Essential Academy. Same with Tim.
well, I've had the good fortune to be a personal trainer and health coach here in San Diego for actually 42 years. And I've developed what I call the ageless living lifestyle. It's a complete mind, body, and spiritual wellness system that I'm very confident will give most people the best opportunity to avoid disease and old age and live a much healthier, energetic, long life, which unfortunately most people are not. So that's what I've been doing. And I would say 2 of my biggest insights would be, first of all, is just like a lot of you guys mentioned, is just listen more than you talk and really get to know your clients or your team people and really see where they're at and what their needs are. And so, really not just try and put what you think is what they need to hear, but listen first. And then second thing is, my kind of view on leadership is to lead by example. So, and particularly as a personal trainer, you really got to walk your talk, So I think you need to lead by example. As you say, action is worth more than words, right? So those are two of the insights that I got. Listen to people and then really lead by example. And then one more thing I'd like to say about Natan's thing about happiness. I have a little different spin on happiness. I think happiness is our innate quality, that we're born happy. And happiness doesn't come from external things. Happiness has to come from inside yourself, and know that we are all blessed. We're all eternal spiritual beings here, and we should be happy just to be alive and get to have these living experiences. So what I think is, joy comes from other people and things. We experience joy from things, from material things and from other people and all the experiences we have. But happiness, the only way you're going to be happy is you have to just decide to be happy and realize that your innate nature is to be happy.
Yeah, that's really great.
I like that. I like that.
I like that too. John, welcome back.
I'm lurking in the background. I got 2 sick kids that are interrupting me as they have needs. So
Yes, John, you had great questions. By all means, everybody share your contact info here. If you don't know Tim, I will share Tim's in the chat.
Thanks, Natan.
My pleasure.
Yeah, can you put everybody's contact in the chat so we can?
Well, I'd be super special, wicked awesome if I could. I don't have Dave's and Scott's and John's, but I have mine. Rico, I might be able to grab yours just because, I'm fond of you. And for those of you that don't know, if you've won like gold medals at the Senior Olympics and you're in your 8th decade on this planet and you can still do more push-ups and chin-ups than me,
I think
that's
I can.
Rico.
I think I can.
Yeah, I'm
That's very-
convinced you can. I'm convinced you can. That's the crazy part.
You're seriously in 8th decade. Rico, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, again,
Okay.
got to walk your talk.
If you guys want to play in my sandbox, there's me. And let me get Rico.
I'm gonna wait till everybody is done and then I'll save the chat and then we should be good.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know what I just put in there, but I think that's my LinkedIn profile. I don't know.
Something
It's
resembling.
significant. It's
Wish I had a
serious,
short
Scott.
one.
Okay, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna connect everybody on LinkedIn by all means.
So I'm going to ask another question while we're sharing.
Okay.
Let me start by saying there were a lot of themes in our answers. I don't know if you guys were listening as I was listening, but anybody want to talk a little bit about what you heard from those insights and those strategies that people learned about?
Mm.
Well, one thing I would say is, just like being a teacher or a coach, it's really so beneficial for yourself because you're learning probably more than your client or who you're coaching or who you're teaching.
Yeah,
that's what I've found out. It's also, really about becoming awake and aware of who you are, what you need to learn, and where you're at. And so it's been I just love being a trainer and a coach because, like I said, I quite often I learn more from working with people than they're learning from me, I think.
Rico, that's the very thing that I said to John about 2 hours ago.
Oh.
That we're all learners. We're all learners and we're all teachers.
Yes.
And we all have something to give and take from each other. What else did you all hear? I heard a lot about listening and making success, about others. What else did you guys hear?
I heard lots of self-discovery,
Yeah.
being mindful. I think you already covered lots of the listening elements there. So those kind of, if I kind of thread together all the stories, those pieces came to light. The self-discovery, maybe EQ on multiple levels.
So then I'd love to ask this question. When you think about your insight, maybe when you think about the insights that we just finished talking a little bit about, what impact do those have on your success, on your career, on the results of your business or your job? But what is the impact that those traits, those insights, what's the impact?
I think it's probably a little bit hard to measure, but I would say I'm sure that it definitely impacts your success and also just your life experience. It definitely impacts your own personal life experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
So I would say, going back to how my insights have served me, in my life, I've had literally senior citizens, and literally children in some cases, come to me with a challenge they're looking to solve. And that's kind of where it was all birthed from, somebody who's intimidated by me because I'm their dad, chronologically, somebody who's intimidated because they're feeling a little obsolete, and here comes somebody with more technical know-how or what have you. And just again, showing that humanity first, right? And just saying, hey, wait a minute, chill, we got this. And then, hearing the stories later on, it's like, oh God, I had a great conversation, or I connected with my grandkids, or I, whatever it was, right? And kind of going from there.
That's really, really powerful. So your impact is, I mean, again, going back to what Rico said about measurable, the measurable is anecdotal, and what you're hearing in the comments from others, it's really cool. That's very cool. And then obviously you can feel something like that.
Mhm.
Let me ask you guys, in the context of career-wise, and all of us have careers that span quite a significant period of time. If you could go back in time, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, to younger version of you, and if you could resist the urge to throttle them just for the minute and impart a little knowledge, wisdom, what would you say to a younger version of you that might make this a little easier for you to have gotten to where you got to today?
I've actually thought about this a lot. Don't be afraid to shake things up. Don't be afraid to seek out knowledge and surround yourself with good people. I didn't come from the best situation. There were a lot of people around me that didn't make a whole lot of themselves. And I learned a lot of my lessons the hard way early on. And so now a lot of what I do is actually trying to be the person I wish I had when I was younger.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's really, Rico, going back to what you were saying, we're talking about people choosing to be happy, but there are many people who choose to be miserable. And they're stuck in their own mire and muck, and they want to, have you there with them and commiserating. I think we've all done it. It's good to know if you're grappling with something that you're not alone, that you're not going crazy. But you need to seek out people who can kind of say, hey, you will get through this season as well.
Yeah, that is very, very cool. That is very cool.
Thank you, John. It's like that expression that the child is father to the man.
That's deep.
Nice. I like that. All right, who would you like to volunteer next?
I just like to say, for me, I think I was a little bit too much in the moment, in the present, and not thinking about the future as much as I should. And I would say myself, I would tell myself, because I really didn't have many mentors in my life and much of a family. So I would say I would advise myself to seek out some mentors, and particularly as in financial and being a little wiser financially investments. That's what I would do.
That's true.
I think a lot of us could feel that. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's many moments that I could like to still go back and either shake myself up or do something else from a historical standpoint. And I know this for me just from growing up. I don't know if it has to do with where I fall in a sibling order, having older brothers and sisters. I'm also a twin. I have a twin sister. She's 2 minutes older. She never lets me forget she's 2 minutes older. And so I was always very comfortable because I was surrounded by strong personalities to always want to I was comfortable just blending in. I never really had lots of interest or energy. I didn't want to lead anyone. I just wanted to kind of lead myself. It wasn't a journey I was on. I wasn't seeking it. And I think I just worried about too many things. I'm glad Rico can live in the moment. I'm the opposite of Rico. I can't live in the moment. I can have a hollow eyes at times because I'm already thinking about the next day, week, month, and may not be present in the moment because that's just the way I'm kind of wired. And so, from being very comfortable, being shy, hiding behind these big personalities, big extreme personalities, of being, to kind of encourage me a little bit more to step out of myself, and it's okay. There's no bad side to it. It's not a risk component, and just to be comfortable in that space. So I would absolutely would have done that at an earlier time in my life, instead of it taking maybe a coach at a boarding school, like almost like a father figure, to draw it out of me and take me to a place. Because otherwise, if I don't know that if that intervention didn't happen at some point, I think I would have blended forever. And I do believe that to my core, that just I would have went along, would have been fine, probably would have been a fine life, but I think I would have been very comfortable. And now I lead leaders and teams, and I have a different path, and I try to impart wisdom and share stories to kind of hopefully get them energized about the future. But I would definitely go back and say, it's okay, step out there a little bit, a little more courage, a little braver. It's going to be all right.
I agree with all of that, Dave, but I'll add another little pivot point, which is I found the past to be a bit more insidious than I anticipated. And so I've had all of those challenges, though I'm an only child, though I've grown up with a lot of colorful characters around me. But I also didn't realize some of the trauma events and bad habits and what have you that had influenced my life. Again, going back to kind of negative surroundings and whatnot. And that's something that I, as I get older, try to lean into more, just to have that awareness of, I'm okay, but are there things that I'm not uncovering that I need to? And more often than not, I leave something out, right? And then that leads me down another rabbit hole to try and figure out, oh, well, here's something else I hadn't considered. And it's still a bit of growth the hard way, but it's growth. So.
Right.
If I could add something, it's been said that the only time that we actually advance ourselves or grow is when we step into our fears and step out of our comfort zone. And that's when you can grow and advance yourself. But if you stay in your comfort zone and afraid to try new things, you don't advance. And we're here. I think we're here to become our best self and to challenge ourselves. And you just got to step into your fears. And that's what I learned in the early age. I'll just say this real quickly. One of my main accomplishments was I grew up stuttering. I stuttered really badly when I was a young kid. And so when you stutter, you become really introverted because you're not able to express yourself verbally. But it did serve me well. So I became quite physical and good in sports and athletics and all those things. And that served me well. But when I wrote my main book, Ageless Living, all the media people and the marketing people said, well, this is your thing, Rico, you're the example. You got to get out and speak about your ageless living lifestyle. And as you can imagine, if you stutter, the last thing you think you're ever going to be is a public speaker. That's a huge fear for most people. I mean, the average person, it's one of the biggest fears they have is public speaking. Yeah. And I couldn't understand that. If you could speak well, why would you be afraid, So, but I finally realized that I had to do it. I had to step into my fear and overcome it. And now, I've done 253 interviews on my podcast. I've done summits, and I speak. I don't consider myself a great speaker, but at least I stepped into my fear. And you got to do that, and then that's how you grow. And so
Amen.
Love that.
Yeah. And also, Dave, I want to say something to Dave. Have you about being a twin? I think that's so awesome. That your sister's 2 years older. That just reminded me. Have you seen that joke? Have you seen that commercial on TV recently? I forget their name. It's two NBA basketball brothers. Have you seen that one? And they're fighting over a basketball, and they're saying, "Who's this ball belong to?" And the one guy goes, "To me, I'm the older brother." And the other guy says, "You're only a minute older than me." And the other guy says, "The best minute of my life." That's pretty funny, isn't it?
No, but I will be searching it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny.
I just wondered if your sister ever said that to you. Those 2 minutes were the best 2 minutes of my
She-
life.
She hasn't. She just uses it as
That's funny.
to remind me, as she's wiser with that 2 minutes.
Let's get Scott into this conversation. Scott, what would you say to your younger self?
Well, if I could go back in time, I would take the winning Powerball ticket with me, and I'd have a different future as I would today. But no, if I could go back in time, I would probably tell myself to cherish every moment that you've got with your parents, because time is short, and you only get one shot with them. And when they're gone, all you've got left is memories. So to try to make as every day make as many good memories as you can, because that's all you're left with.
Great. Natan, have you answered this question?
No, I think for me, mine's on a personal level. I would go back and talk to myself, because I've had IBS for about half my life. And so when you go to the bathroom 20 times a day, it affects your life in multiple ways. And it obviously negatively affected me, but nobody would know. And I'm like a swan, so I'll just, gracefully float on the water, but underneath paddling like crazy, and nobody needs to know about that. And, like, it got to a point where I couldn't understand the connection between sugar and how I was feeding all the horrible things going on with me. And even when I didn't, like, when I knew it was sugar, because back in the day I'd have like a coffee and it was really like a liquid cake. We're talking like 5-6 tablespoons of sugar. I'd have 5-6 of these a day. It's not good. I'm 5'4" if you squint. On a good day, if the wind's just right. And I was about 185 pounds. So that's not right.
Wow.
Right. And it wasn't all muscle. So no, that's not right. So that wouldn't work well at all. And because of that, it was blessings that it was like my wife that after about half my life, because I've been with her now 30 years. So I've been with her longer than I've not been with her. She said, hey, no more gluten, no more lactose. That's it. Just take a break. And after 3 months, I lost like 50 pounds. Wow. And kept it off for like the last 5-6 years. But also noticed that things changed. And I didn't have to go to the bathroom 20 times a day and all the horrible problems that come from doing that.
Oh, okay.
So it was me going back to my younger self and saying, hey, oh, you know what? Even subtle things like, I think my younger self wouldn't have understood that if I drink alcohol, that's sugar. Oops. Just something as simple and basic as that, because I'd be like, what do you mean? I didn't have a piece of cake. Like my wife's family, they're French Canadian. So holy shit, it doesn't matter how much food they eat. It does not matter. They will always have a little compartment of their stomach reserved for dessert. That's the French way. And because of that, I was always blown away. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I just, in 30 years of being at my wife's family, I don't think I've ever had dessert. I don't crave sugar in the obvious way, but I didn't know that maybe I'm craving the sugar through alcohol. I didn't know that I'm maybe craving it through my coffee. I didn't know that 5-6 of these a day is why I'm going to the bathroom 20 times a day. And meanwhile, I'm just trying to have a good life and, be good for my daughter and my wife and be a regular person. And I'm self-sabotaging so much without even knowing it. So I would have gone back and told my old self, quit it. Yeah.
Great. I think I would tell my younger self not to take yourself so seriously, to have a little bit more fun, to have a little less control. You don't control the universe. Everything's not up to you. And yeah, I would tell my younger self to chill out.
Because you are one of like the most fun people I know, Tim. So I'm like, holy crap, how serious were you? Jesus, man.
I still think I am. I still need to lighten up.
That's funny. Oh my God. I'm so grateful that I've calmed the hell down. I remember when I was 18, my parents got this cool sports car and I took it for a ride with my friends. And in Calgary, the sides of the streets when you're going downtown, they're kind of dipped around the edges of every intersection so that the rain can fall off. Which means if you stay hard to the left and you gun this about 60, 70, woohoo, Dukes of Hazzard, every block, and you're just jumping your car. I did this for about 7, 8 blocks with my car full of 5, 6 people. Didn't even realize those cops following us the whole damn time. When they finally pulled us over, the guy said, I want to see everybody's pants right now. You all must have shit your pants because I almost did. What the hell are you trying to do? It's the craziest thing that ever happened. But yeah, sometimes we have to, remind ourselves of that youthful indiscretions and silliness that we were,
Gentlemen, I'm gonna go deal with sick children, but this has been great. Please stay in touch. Please invite me to future sessions. Tim, my apologies. This came on my radar through a lapse of memory. Apparently, I signed up and forgot I did, but I will remember moving forward. So everybody keep in touch and have a great night.
Good to
John,
hear
I'm
from
going to
you,
reach
John.
out
Take
to
care of
you.
your kids.
We'll talk.
All right,
Take
thank
care.
you. Bye.
Yeah, that was really funny when John reached out today. He's like, what are you reminding me of?
That thing that you committed to, your
Yeah.
firstborn and that thing.
Hey, this has been a great 45 minutes. I don't know how you guys are like your feeling word, your emotional word, but I think this has been a good conversation. I'm curious because we have been talking so much about I don't know, just pleasant things. Maybe we could talk a little bit about who you serve. Like when you think about your career and you think about your job and you think about kind of how you're wired currently, who do you serve and how do you serve them?
I'll go ahead and go. Well, as I'm sure you guys know that we have a serious health problem in America because we don't really have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system, and we're not taught how to really care for our human bodies. We're not taught how to prevent all these chronic illnesses that we shouldn't be having. So I just realized early on that there's so many people, say in their 40s and 50s, are already not nearly as healthy or energetic as they should be or need to be and want to be. So who I serve, that's why I developed a complete whole holistic mind, body, and spiritual wellness system because it includes all of those things. And so I serve people who primarily who are over 45, 50 and realize that they're not as healthy and as energetic or as fit as they want and need to be. And so I like to reach those people before it gets too late, before people just give up and they just accept it and just accept that we're all going to get old and sick and die in our 70s and 80s, and that may be normal, but that's not natural. So I'm here to support anybody in developing the importance of developing your own personal lifetime wellness system. Because again, if you don't have good health and lots of energy, you don't really have anything. You can't enjoy your wealth or anything if you're not healthy. So that's been I've dedicated myself to learn all I could possibly learn about what the body requires to stay healthy and energetic and to live as long as possible. And I know that everybody really wants to live as long as they possibly can, right? From the old saying is, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? So we know that everybody really wants to live as long, but unfortunately, and here's the thing, it's not so much about lifespan, but it's about health span. How long can you stay healthy when you're alive? That's really the critical thing these days that we're teaching people. Even people who live to be 80 now and die at 80, but for the last 20 years or more, they've been just on medications and surgeries and all these chronic illnesses. So life's not even good. So it's about learning how to create a good health span. That's what's good. That's what's important.
Yep, quality life's important. I agree.
Yeah. Rico, who do you want to hear from?
Let's hear from Dave.
All right, thanks, Rico. So interesting. So just another life thing, and I think it kind of talks about with Rico. So over the last 18 months, I've lost 2 siblings, not my twin sister, but a brother and a sister, and they were both about one mid-50 and the other one 52 or 53, so still relatively young, all with full families, children at very developmental years. We are a very close-knit family. So for
And I am
me,
so sorry to hear that. I am so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that.
yeah, just really hard as just a family.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then again, I think that someone in the family always takes on the patriarch role, whether it's a girl or a guy, but they take on kind of where they lead the rest of the family. And there's been a gravitation to expect that. Like, apparently for the rest of my life, I'm in charge of obituaries and the eulogies. Apparently that's it. I'm on the hook for that. And so that's the lesser of the kind roles. But so I serve different audiences at different chapters of my life. So for the rest of the family, I'm the uncle. This is going on. Can you help me fill out FAFSA forms? You're my Aunt Peggy's being a pain in the ass. Can you get her off my back, uncle? I'm having these issues. And so whether it's the spouses of the spouses or that, but it's just, so that actually feels fulfilling that I can serve the family and do my brother and sister proud because they would want me to step into those roles.
Right.
And both of those, by the way, they would make Nate seem calm. That's the extreme extrovert out of my brothers and sisters, that they just control the room and they had extrovert and energy, and just like they go, oh, that Nate, and he's a little quiet with them around. That's, so this is the role or the void that I'm kind of stepping into. And so that feels really good. Now in work, there's I think I serve the whole broad team, not just my leader of leaders, but I go all the way down. And I just, for me personally, I don't believe in the level thing. So conversations are conversations. I think I hand out my phone number to anyone who will take it, and just hope that there's a connection between that, teams or whatever, availability, accessibility. And right now in work, there's lots of uncertainty. There's lots of fear, life fear, job loss fear. And so the group that I'm serving, I want to make sure that I try to shoulder that for them, make sure that we're a shopping channel. It should be fun. It should not be filled with worry and fear and all of that. But when people bring their whole selves to work, then so I serve them, and I try to help maybe just make a program that I ran out, and sorry to kind of be all over the place, but the program I ran out when COVID started, which was really a conversation starter, which was, we called it Happy at Home, right? It was a way to start a conversation. People were feeling isolated. They weren't talking to anyone. And so for the new generation, heck, they grew up like that. They built a lot of the systems around us. But for the older generation, you were used to the routine of coming into an office workplace and doing all this thing, having the camaraderie. And so that was missing. And so it opened up just conversations, maybe for people who weren't comfortable talking to someone and saying, hey, Scott, how you doing? Are you happy? And that one phrase of "are you happy" would just channel so much good dialogue. So I just take that as my mission. The program has been sunsetted, hopefully integrated into our DNA as a team, but I still kind of find that that's at the heart of me. While I want to move mountains on progress for the business, I ultimately want to make people feel happy when they come to work, and that they feel that their time here is well spent. And that, they don't dread coming into the office, that it's actually joyful, and that that makes them feel like they're making a difference. So serve lots of people, wear a few different hats, but in the end, the DNA that I'm trying to do is just kind of make people feel joyful.
Hey, Dave, I just want to add, the thing that you have being there for your family is really a good thing. So that means you got to stay healthy and live longer than all of them. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And let me say this, we've all put contact info in the chat. So if, unlike Dave, if you're not currently a personal friend, client, and or relation with Tim, He's got his contact info. I would highly suggest grab a one-on-one with him. Take some time, have him take a listen to what you're doing, how you're doing it, see if there's any insight that he can share on a offline, off recording, much more personal level. Grab his contact info, take that one-on-one with him, take that opportunity. That would be my suggestion. I know it would be excellent time well spent.
I connected on LinkedIn already.
Awesome sauce. Well done, gentlemen. So, in wrapping up,
God bless.
let me say that for next month, there will be another topic. There will be another conversation. There will be another group of people. We would ask you to do two things. One, if you can come and join us, join us. Two, if you can bring a friend or 7, join us. You don't need to bring 7. We really don't want you to bring 7, to be quite honest. If you bring 1 would be brilliant. Thank you. That's all we're looking for. One person that you'd be like, hey, you know what, Bill, I think you'd like this group. I think you'd like it. That's it. If you brought 1 and everyone brought, perfect. That's all we're looking to do. Awesome sauce.
We'd be able to get a link that we can forward on to our network.
So right now, if we go on LinkedIn and we search Leadership Roundtable Series, you will see Tim. You'll see a couple other people that I'm doing this for as well. Because at the Essential Academy, this is one of the things we do. We promote and produce and do all these marketings for our clients. So if you want, what I'll do is I'll get, if you want, what we'll do is we'll send an email out. Let you know the next upcoming ones. That might make it easy on you, Scott.
Okay, and then that gives me something that I can forward on and try to, get a couple.
Absolutely, that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
And Scott, I'll reach out to you as well.
Sorry?
I said I'll reach out to you as well. It's good to see you
Okay.
again tonight.
Thank you.
Awesome. And if anything, Tim's going to have the next date immediately. So I will pause the recording. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate each and every one of your time, your insight, your energy, and what you bring to the table, and for being able to share that with everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Natan, thanks. Dave, good to see you. Rico,
Good to
good to
see
meet
everyone.
you. Scott, good to see you again. You guys take care.
Gotcha.